Hey guys, this is John for Cartridge Blast Gamers here with another Cartridge Blast Podcast. It is episode 28 and it is September 12th, 2017. This is a special episode because we're talking Destiny 2. Today I am joined with
Jonah,
Carmine,
and today we have a special guest, our very first guest, Jorge.
me.
Jorge, who are you and what do you do?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I am human. I play video games.
That's good.
A lot of video games. I started with Nintendo, so I have a big history in Nintendo. In fact, if you can't see my shirt,
I like it.
Metroid.
Loves Metroid.
My favorite game of all time, Super Metroid. From that, I just started dabbling in everything. Got into Destiny, got really hooked. Founded a clan, got a lot of people, started playing it nonstop, and now I host a podcast called In Orbit. Been going on for almost 3 years, and here I am.
Where can I find that podcast?
You can find us on mashthosebuttons.com. You can also find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher Smart Radio, Player.fm, Pocket Cast, whole bunch of locations. Just search In Orbit.
Awesome. Carmine, get on that because I want our
all that stuff? Yeah, sure. I mean, I just got Google Play the other day, all right?
You write that down. It's also on Google Play.
Oh, so you go.
Whoa.
I got iTunes, Google Play, and some other apps that I don't even know the name of. So we're good. Don't worry. Baby steps,
We need to corner that market, John.
We still got to make sure we can get all the episodes on SoundCloud. We got to talk about that, too.
That's true. We have to have a Taco Bell meeting soon about this. And we are trying to do that for everybody. But we do upload these to YouTube. If you're not watching this now, you didn't figure that out. But if you are, you did. But we do have a playlist of all the subjects that we talked about there. But do stick to looking for and listening to the full podcast because we do have extras that don't show up on YouTube. And that you can find on SoundCloud and any other app of your choice.
Yes, for the most part.
For the most part.
Yep.
Because we don't want to have you look somewhere and it's not there.
Yes.
And then for the most part, come and find us and destroy us for the most part. Anyway.
Let's move on.
Moving on.
All right, guys. So we're going to jump right in here. First topic, we're going to talk about PVE in Destiny 2. Carmine, you have a lot of hands-on with Destiny 2
Destiny
right now.
in general.
Destiny in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to throw this over to you.
I'm going to catch it, put it in my pocket, and we'll save it for later.
Take it away. Tell us all
Save
about...
it for later, John.
All right, open forum here. So PvE, looking at patrols, looking at different missions, submissions, adventures, everything I think is a huge improvement from what Destiny 1 was. It's a great feeling that when you're actually doing a mission, you're actually being distracted by other stuff that's going on in the different worlds that you're in. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, I think that if I was going to put one thing that they've actually just nailed in the sequel, it would be the PvE element of not only the patrol areas, the adventures, the high value targets, the public events, everything that's rolled into that little package of PvE patrol. I just think they nailed and knocked it out of the park completely. And then it kind of bleeds into some of the strike stuff as well. Most of the strikes, if not all the strikes, are very well done when it comes to the boss battles. I would like to see some variations in the middle of a lot of those strikes, but overall, they did put some thought into the end bosses of the strikes, which I think is fantastic. So overall, a really big improvement. There's probably some other stuff I'd like to see. I think the areas are still pretty open, and I'm assuming eventually I'm gonna get bored of doing the same stuff over and over again. It's gonna be one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, another VIP showed up. I guess I'll go kill that. Or hey, I'm gonna do the same public event the 900th time.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see where this game is 3, 4, 5 months from now.
Right.
And from a PvE perspective, but it is something, I think it's a huge improvement. I think it's something that people can kind of jump in, play, go, and then probably lose hours of their life because they're just not paying attention because they're being distracted by everything else that's in the world.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I wasn't a big Destiny 1 guy just because I kind of missed out when it started getting better. I jumped in and, it was okay. I liked it, but this is Bungie hopping off of, Halo's trail, basically. Right. So I'm expecting something like that, and I got this. For me, the campaign was
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
First campaign in Destiny 1 was just...
So I like the multiplayer of it, but I kind of fell off when new things came out. So, but then I missed out when things started getting better and better and better, and then I jumped in later on, which was a little bit too late because then I was just kind of trying to play catch up. But I do agree with you with the new stuff. It's very entertaining. Like you said, though, you're curious about getting bored, but I did notice in the levels there's a lot of they look like false walls almost.
Yeah.
So I assume later on they're gonna add new pathways.
Well, that's how that's how they've done the expansions before. It's just like they close certain parts off that are like under construction.
Yeah,
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then people try to break into them anyway. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that they're going to be building upon the game is going to be behind those false walls.
You know, as a Legend of Zelda player, I did throw a grenade at one, hoping to be like, sweet.
No dice.
But Jonah, I mean, how are you liking it?
PvE, I love just because it's so rewarding. Every aspect of it, like patrols, adventures, strikes, everything gets you above certain light levels. Like even blues, not just exotic or legendary drops. Blues don't have a cap, at least from what I've seen so far.
Well, they have the 265, right? Or
that's a soft cap.
Soft
cap. As soon as your light level reaches a certain point, I think mine were like 272 before I started dropping higher.
Mine are dropping at 275.
Yeah, something like that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so blues started dropping at higher than 265, and it keeps going up. So I don't know when that stops. Maybe 300.
Yeah, I mean, and Jorge, you've obviously played a lot more than I think probably me and Jonah combined at this point. You've been running people through the Nightfalls and everything else like that. So you've had a lot of hands-on time with it, the ins and outs of it, the details of it. What's some of your perspectives, and then like what are some of your feelings about the game as we go forward into this year?
So in terms of
Patrol PvE,
in terms of PvE, I think it's definitely an improvement from Destiny 1 as a whole. And I'm talking, when I say Destiny 1, the vanilla, Dark Below, House of Wolves, Taken King, Rise of Iron. So that's all encompassing. It's a natural progression from what it was. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, with PvE, and I'm not going to get into the campaign too much right now, with the PvE, once you get to a certain level, it starts repeating itself. And at a certain point, you're just like, okay, I like it, but let's get more variety. For example, the public events are a complete blast to play. Mm. But when you get to a specific area, like the very first area that you're in, right in front of the church, it's the same exact public event. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with the Glimmer Farm. I've done that Glimmer Farm easily 100 times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love doing it because it's just pure chaos. There's a lot of things.
A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah. So,
especially when you get to the Glimmer,
right,
holding the area.
Right. And then that big captain comes out and he's like, So I think from the perspective of PvE, there's a lot of good things, but I'm starting to already see moments where it's repeating.
Yeah.
The one big thing that I think is a gigantic improvement is every single area feels special. Mm-hmm. IO feels special. Titan feels special. EDZs feel special. In Destiny 1, like once you got done through the campaign, I almost never went back to Mars. I had no desire to go back to Mars.
That's a good point. Well, the reason why I was going to Mars, at least in year 1, was to do the laps around that one base, the Relic Farm.
Right.
Pretty much. Iron Relic Farm.
Which you needed for like the exotic quests.
Yeah. Right. Well, not even the exotic quests. That's like, for certain armor pieces from the raid, you had to get the certain planetary materials, or the certain armor pieces, you needed the certain planetary materials. But that wasn't a reason to really go back. It was just the fastest way to get it.
Yeah. I just think that the other areas in Destiny 1 were way more interesting. Venus was very interesting. Earth was, well, we spent most of our time on Earth.
Yeah.
I would venture to say about 50% of our time was spent on the Cosmodrome, that damn Cosmodrome. That was reused, and then they put snow, and it was like, come on. But Earth was
That was a new area, though.
Yeah.
For the most part, with Rise of Iron, at least, but yeah.
Yeah, Earth was interesting, Venus was interesting. Moon was weird. The moon was very weird because it was very vertical.
Yeah, it was very vertical. It was
so
very small.
The outside area was small, but it went vertical, and unfortunately they didn't do enough with it, because when I'm like the first time you go in, it's like, oh my gosh, there's this huge caverns, there's all the dungeons and all this stuff, and there wasn't enough to do. Yeah. Unless you were doing missions. So it's a gigantic improvement all around. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff, but you're starting to get to a point where it's repetitive. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff, like patrols, some of these quests are very similar to stuff that we did in Destiny 1. Mm-hmm. Go to a spot, sit there, kill enemies.
What are your thoughts on the strikes? On the whole?
I don't think that there's enough. And I'm hoping
there's
like six
now,
right?
right? Or is 6 including the PlayStation exclusive?
I think it's 7 with the
PlayStation.
I have, and the unfortunate thing too is I haven't done them all.
I don't think I've done them all either.
And I've been in that Strike playlist for a while now.
Yeah.
And I've done the PlayStation exclusive Strike, which is all right, to put it nicely. The best one is the Pyramidion, which is the one on IO where you're going into the fake Vault of Glass.
Oh.
It's very, very
I
cool.
think I've done that one.
It's unfortunate that you can't pick that one.
Is that the one where there's the giant Vex and then you have the different plates that you
Yes.
have to go to? Okay, I did play that one. I actually really, really enjoyed that one. Yeah, so that's an awesome Strike. I had a great time doing that one.
The way I compare it, it's basically Vault of Glass with the final battle with Darth Maul from what's it called?
Star Wars?
Phantom, yeah,
Phantom
because
Menace.
the walls come up and you have to go through the specific area.
Yeah. Cool.
It's absolutely amazing, and it's unfortunate that you cannot pick that.
Oh wow.
You have to go into a playlist and hope that you get it. I always get the one on Nessus with that damn
Inverted Spire.
no.
I got Inverted Spire a lot. I've got Inverted Spire a lot.
I've only done
That's
that
the
once.
beta one, right?
Yeah, I've done that at least 4 or 5 times.
The other one on Nessus, the one with the fallen boss that goes invisible. I hate that one.
Oh yeah, with electric, like little puddles of
The
Yeah,
electricity
you
or
were
whatever.
talking about that one.
Yeah, that was the weakest one I thought. That's, at least from what I played
He's
so
just
far.
he's just an invisible vandal, right? Just running around.
Pretty much,
and
or
there's
invisible
shanks
captain. Yeah,
that electrocute the ground.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's I don't know. That to me, what I played so far, that's like the weakest mechanic for a Strike. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel like a boss. He just feels like a really...
annoyance.
Yeah.
It was the most Destiny 1 boss,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And Destiny 1 Strike. You're going through patrol areas.
Yeah.
Now the 2 strikes that we did on Saturday, that was the exclusive one. Was that the PS exclusive? You weren't sure.
Trying to
at the
think
time.
which
Cabal.
one it was.
The Cabal in the arena.
That's the one where the guy, the arena's shrinking, and the guy keeps like pulling you in.
I think it was
at the
Taken.
end.
Taken Cabal, maybe.
The Taken one is the one that is PlayStation
We
exclusive.
did play that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the last one I think
We had
played.
some trouble. We had some trouble.
Hey, we
oh
made
yeah,
it,
no,
though.
that one wasn't that bad though. I enjoyed that one. I thought that was okay.
It was. We got it. What was it like? The last. We were almost out of time.
Yeah, because
we almost died.
the what is it, the water or the Taken juice?
Yeah, it kept rising.
rises up.
Yeah,
yeah,
that.
surrounds the pool.
That's the nice word to put it.
I mean, it was an interesting Strike. I mean, I thought it was different. I thought it was kind of annoying when freaking shield guy comes up and just blows you away.
Oh yeah.
He can
But-
tether you.
Yeah, that too.
That
I was
was
like,
fun.
what is going on?
Like, it was interesting. It was something different. It's still better than the Vandal or whatever the captain wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I had a blast, and like I said, I don't think I did any strikes in Destiny 1. So for me, that was
I'm sure you probably did. If you were playing with Jake or Christopher at any time, I'm sure you probably played a Strike or two.
probably. I didn't even know they were strikes. I thought they were just like campaign levels.
Yeah, you thought you were playing Halo. I get it.
Yeah. You know, I was,
It's like,
I was
oh, it's
Master
Halo.
Chief, and you know, it's the
But,
Covenant. And
But yeah, so like I said, I like the Strikes. What they've done with Patrol, fantastic. What else is there? Anything else you kind of want to touch on, Jorge? I know, like I said, you've probably talked more about Destiny than you'd ever probably want to.
what would you change? Like
But-
being you've played it so much. Like, what would you change to the things that you didn't like, or the things that you liked?
In PvE.
Yeah.
So the patrols, I think. So the actual you go on patrol. When I think patrol, I'm thinking the little beacons, and those beacons are exactly the same from Destiny 1. There's no change to them, and that's unfortunate because there's a lot of potential that you could do with those things.
Mm-hmm.
Make it something more. Kind of take something from like what is it, Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah.
Or, like you pick up
The
a
Nemesis
beacon.
program, or?
Yeah. Where it's like, yo, we have this was one target. He's given us a problem. We need you to take him out, and it look like an actual some sort of boss or whatever, someone that looks different, taking him out, getting some sort of reward. I think that was a missed opportunity. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff in this game that makes me think it's a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's a time crunch thing more than anything else?
I just think that they were a little too safe.
That's probably a good way to phrase it. Actually, that they were playing it safe, close to the chest.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about the lost sectors? That's one of the things I like the most. Of what
I feel like they need to be.
Like, do you like any?
I
Changes?
felt like they became very irrelevant very early. If you're leveling and you're playing through the campaign.
I mean,
Lost opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I still use it to level up.
It's fun to do, like jump in, kind of see where this giant cave takes you. But
Yeah.
as far as loot, I think 265.
No, you can
Dropping
go.
that?
You can go higher. Like with the soft cap, like
okay.
once you go past that, you can go higher than 265.
Do they reset or they reset all the time, right?
You leave the lost sector, you can go back in.
Go back into it.
Yeah, and I've gotten exotics and legendaries from those chests.
Oh, have you?
So they do drop those. So it's pretty cool. I guess I would like them to be a bit longer because it's just you can run past everybody and kill the boss and then you're done. That's what I do.
The best one is the one on the EDZ. When you get to the area, the one area where there's the giant shank public event, if you go down where the water is and take that one cave, there's a big one over there where each room has to be cleared. You have to clear out the captain in order to bring down the blue wall.
Oh,
and it's actually part of one of the adventures. They make you go into the lost sector, but because they put that wall up, like you're forced to do the encounters. A lot of the other ones, you just run by them, activate your super kill the boss, get out. And then that one forces you to go step by step. And I think that's the approach that they should have taken with the Lost Sectors because a lot of them are just clear the one room, clear the big room, get out.
Yeah. Add some sort of mechanic maybe. It's kind of
so like make it like a mini strike, basically.
Or just like a dungeon.
Yeah.
An actual dungeon. I think, again, it's a missed opportunity that could have added a lot of replay value. I wasn't expecting a full-on strike. But if, let's say, each one of these mini dungeons had a mechanic in there, like he was saying.
Or like a puzzle element.
Right. I mean, it'd be cool to have a Vex, Lost Sector that has the plate function.
Plates into it, yeah.
Activate the plates, bring down the thing while you're dealing with hordes of goblins coming towards you.
Yeah. Almost like something similar to like from a puzzle element, almost like trying to find the Riddler trophies. I feel like in Batman maybe, where you have some sort of element. Now, not saying I want Riddler trophies because I've already expressed how some of the Riddler trophies are absolutely insane in Batman.
Yeah.
But in the idea of you have like these, you come across like a wall or like a gate that you have to pretty much open, and it has to be some sort of puzzle that kind of stretches your mind that maybe you can actually get a full fire team involved with to open that up. And then go in and actually fight the boss and have maybe some sort of a light strike mechanic or something, even a mechanic of some of the public events, like something along those lines that may not be too foreign, but it's also not something that should be too obvious. So
using what you mentioned right there with Batman, the Victor's ass.
What?
The Zaz.
The guy
Zaz, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Victor's. I thought you said the Victor's ass.
I heard Victor's ass.
No.
I was like...
Just let the record show.
No, Victor's ass goes.
In City, there's that one where you have to save the people.
Yeah.
Some sort of something like that in Destiny where you have to rescue the humans.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea, like NPCs.
From the fall, and you have to sneak through to get into position.
Yeah,
otherwise,
really
they get...
Cool.
So something like that would have
So
been...
we'll never get it then.
Well, I guess I can save this question for last, but I mean, I will mention it here. We know that Destiny 1, 3 years later, was not Destiny 1 anymore. It was a completely different thing.
For the most part.
Now, do you think this is for a base Destiny 2? Are you happy with what the base is of what they just launched with?
Yeah.
Only knowing it's only going to get better, hopefully.
For me, and I'll pass off to Jorge, I think that they have streamlined a lot of the nuances that were there for the first 3 years. They made it very simple. And when I say simple in the sense, all right, well, I'm going to say some things are simple, and then like the mod system is completely another story, and we'll talk about that when we get to PvP. But like the idea that each area has its own representative or what would you call them? Not even factions.
Not really faction, but I've called it region hosts.
Lieutenants?
Region people.
Yeah, region people.
He's talking about like Devram K, Sloan.
Failsafe.
Failsafe's the best.
Failsafe's
Ambassadors.
Yeah.
We'll go with ambassadors.
Sure. Ambassadors. But I think streamlining that, like even some of the stuff like we were talking about, like the relic iron, like farming the relic iron, like all that stuff, the planetary materials, they're still in the game, but they just add rep to those reputation boosters.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of the stuff that you're getting only has one use. It's not something where it could be used for this, it could be used for that, it could be used for that. Like legendary marks had multiple uses throughout Destiny 1. You can get planetary material, you can buy legendary weapons, you can upgrade with those legendary marks. So I think a lot of that stuff they streamline, and I think they're on the right path with that. And I think it's trying to make it simple for new players as well to kind of understand. But then again, we'll talk about PvP. But then there's the mod system that just I don't know where they were going with the mod
So they
system.
probably decided to, because we all know Destiny 1. They're probably trying to get on board people that jump ship from Destiny 1. So they kind of like, hey, this is
come hither.
Yeah, and then hey, stick along for the ride because it's gonna get better.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What about you, Jorge?
So, am I happy with the game? I enjoy the game a lot, but at the same time, I'm like they're very heavily questionable things that they've done.
Right.
Whereas in Destiny 1, you had 3 years of experience, what's going on, you fix items. The next logical step would be to improve upon them, not make them more complicated. And unfortunately, the mod system, which we're going to get into PvP, is such a huge issue in this game, especially for when you complete the campaign. Once you get to that post-game, that's where everything starts slowing down as molasses.
Right.
And I get what they're trying to do. They don't want you to just steamroll the game.
And not play it.
But at the same time, I want some sort of understanding of where I need to go. It's not very clear.
Right.
And once you get to that post game, a lot of the stuff that we mentioned, the adventures, patrols, quests, become irrelevant. Public events become where everybody what everybody farms.
Yeah.
And there's talks even now. I thought I saw a story today that there's a potential that people are complaining about the loot drops in Strikes not being enough and Crucible not being enough, and they're making a lot of good points about the fact that when people start complaining about that kind of stuff, they don't usually bring up Strike and Crucible bonuses. They're going to bring down public event bonuses and drop rates. So if they do that, then I don't know, it's just going to be questionable. I'm probably be irritated about it too, because right now I think the public events are very quick, easy, fun experiences, and like you're saying, it's chaos. It's pure chaos to jump into something. But the way that they did public events, where you pretty much send up a flare kind of a deal, you pretty much trigger the public event, gets everybody coming into your position to help out. Like that's one of my favorite parts about Destiny.
Yeah.
And they're not easy encounters necessarily. I mean, after you do them a few times, you can start to understand them a little bit. But I feel like, it's just one of those things that, like, that's, to me, like, what the core of Destiny should be. You're in this big open world, you're joining up, you're meeting new people, you're playing with different people. And if they're going to kind of take that away and then it's going to become something where, like, oh, well, it's not worth my time anymore to go do public events, then you're going to be taking an element out that I thought they just nailed perfectly.
Yeah.
So.
As we know, Destiny 1 was a very community-built game.
Well, I would say that. Like, the community definitely stood by them as they worked out their kinks.
Yeah, do you think this is going to be as friendly? Or is this something where it's like, dude, this is the sequel. Why did this happen? Like, we were expecting this, you gave us this.
I think they'll still listen. I mean, Jorge, you've watched them as long as I have. It's just a matter of they'll listen, but their first response to something may not be the best response.
Yeah. Like the shaders?
Well, just shaders is one thing, and that's a whole nother thing. But, like, even, like, the weapon balancing and stuff like that. Like, we went through constant weapon balancing throughout all 3 years.
They just didn't want to separately balance them for PvP and PvE.
Yeah, and they're going to stick to that.
Yeah.
And they're not going to change anything about that. They're going to stick to that. But it's a matter of they raise something up, they think they fixed it, but then something else comes up. And it's going to happen just regardless of being a multiplayer game. But it's just a matter of sometimes they go and they do things. And it's like, all right, well, we're going to nerf this.
Yeah.
When instead they should think about, well, maybe we should bring some of the other weapon classes up and make them more viable. And I think that's the big thing that it's going to be interesting to see how we go forward and what they're going to do. All
right. Final thoughts on this, guys?
Destiny 2's terrible indie game. Don't get it.
terrible indie game.
Yeah. No, actually.
Yes. Small little marketing budget. Only 3 commercials on Super Bowl. Yeah. Not Super Bowl.
I don't think
on Football Sunday.
I don't think Bungie has a chance.
Bungie. But
So regardless of the stuff that's wrong with it, I'm actually having a fantastic time.
Don't get me wrong. Like we're being critical now, but I mean, I've put probably I don't even know how many hours into it at this point.
Yeah,
he forgot to feed his family in the meantime.
No, they're fed. I talked to them before. They're fine.
Yeah,
everything's good. I didn't spend it all on emotes.
Yet.
My whole paycheck on emotes.
Yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think I speak for everybody that's played it. We enjoy a lot of it. It's just it's unfortunate that because you had 3 years and you know what works and what doesn't, to go and change certain things and make them not as friendly and not as fun, very clunky, that's a huge misstep.
Yeah.
It brings it from what would be a 9 to like an 8, maybe a high 7.
Yeah, and as people are getting into the end game, like I was looking at IGN the other day, or just today, I think, and some of the other reviews, there's these reviews in progress right now, and like even Destin's reviewing it for IGN right now. He started out at 8.7, and now that he's getting into like the end game content, he's dropping it down to like an 8.2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that, like, when you first get in, you're like, yes, Destiny. Like, go do everything that there is to possibly do. I have so much I can do. And then I think certain things are becoming a little bit more apparent as it's going into it. Like I said, I'm still going to play the crap out of this game. I'm going to be along for the ride for most of it. Jorge, I don't know if you're going to get burned out of it at some point. Because here's the thing about Jorge. Not only does he just play for himself, he literally drags people through the raid, kicking and screaming sometimes, like Carmine. But
he helped me with... Skolas when that was hard.
Skolas was terrible. Skolas was the worst
around
encounter.
2 a.m. in the morning.
Worst encounter ever. Toughest encounter ever. It was great, but it was tough as shit.
Yeah. It's my absolute favorite thing in all of Destiny.
I was proud to do it. Like, I was proud to beat it. It was getting there though. It was like, that was probably the closest I got to like being like controller through the TV. Like, it was bad. It was getting bad at a certain
point.
We
finished, it was like 2 a.m. and I was drenched in sweat.
Jonah, that's just you at 2 a.m.
Excuse me, I have to chug some juice now.
I've seen you do calisthenics. That's how you are at 2 a.m. Goes to touch his toes.
Is nothing to Skolas. Holy shit.
You go to touch your toes and you're just pouring sweat. Fountains.
But I can say I guess, I know, I look at this game as a refresh, and I'm jumping right back into it.
Yeah, we're playing Saturdays.
Yeah.
Big step for you.
I know.
I'm excited.
Before I was like, hey, Carmine, how you doing? John, we're playing Destiny. What the fuck's that? No, I like it. Like you said, everything's entertaining. For me, I'm just gonna, the nitpicking is just, I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like the public events, I did the same thing 5 times. Yeah. Within a 2 hour, not even a 2 hour, probably about an hour and a half. I feel like we did the same thing. I became an expert at it.
Exactly. And that's half the battle, becoming an expert at it. But soon enough, you'll be dragging people through the raid, kicking and screaming too.
Yeah. Now you're ready for the raid on Saturday,
Those screams will be war cries, gentlemen. War cries.
Is that what
Guys, what do you think of PVE? Have you played it? I'm sure you have, because if not, you're going with those Destiny.
Not
PVE in general. Do you like the Division? Do you like Darksiders PVE?
Darksiders?
Exactly.
What are you talking about over there?
Stay tuned next time for Dragon Ball Z.
All right, John, can you fix everything Jonah just did?
Jonah's gone bye-bye. Well, I'll just put a monotone commentary over him.
Oh, okay. Can you do like a giant beat or something? Yeah, there we go. I like that.
Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments down below.